Friends, welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's not difficult for you, but it's nice for me, and we're starting. Jack. It was our Friday date. We try to do this at least once a week, and I think we managed to stick to this average. We were at one of our favorite places, a Mexican restaurant and bar called El Guapos. They had a really beautiful outdoor patio, and the weather was perfect, cool but not cold, slightly windy. We struck up a conversation with the guy at the next table. It was just one of those things that happens. He was alone, but he seemed pleasant enough. He said his name was John. We chatted with him about our plans for the future and when we would accumulate enough savings to make a down payment on the house. If everything stayed the way it is now, in a year or so we would have enough money. This was stage 1 of the plan. Stage 2 is the creation of equity. Stage 3 was a big house. The 4th stage is children. We were young, and we had time. We are me, Jack Andrews, and my wife Jill. Save the jokes, we've all heard them. We had a whole shelf in our apartment with Jack and Jill-themed souvenirs from friendly friends and family members. We got married 2 years ago and have been living in marital bliss ever since. All we had right now was our one-bedroom love nest, but it was ours. We didn't have the latest cars, but they were reliable and, more importantly, paid off. We didn't have the biggest TV, but it worked well enough for us. Our furniture wasn't the newest or fanciest, but it was clean and well cut. I just made a comment with this content. So, if everything goes well, we can start putting buns in the oven in 5 years or so. John replied, maybe I can push this schedule a little bit. How is that? A few years ago, I was very lucky in business. I am able to offer you a very good deal. And what kind of deal will it be? Before I answer this question, Google me. John Albright. This should confirm my good faith. Jill took out her phone and looked at it. You have your own Wikipedia entry. Holy shit. It says that you have your own capital, which is, this is probably already outdated. Now I'm not far from $10 billion. Good. So what's the matter? Despite the fact that we just met, I like you guys, and I want to help you. So I'll give you $1 million. This is after taxes, so the actual amount will be $1.4 million. But there's something I want. I waited for the second shoe to fall. I want Jill for the weekend. I was stunned. What? Is it serious? I looked at Jill. I can only assume that the look of stunned disbelief on her face reflected on mine. Fuck off, asshole. Go back to your table and leave us alone. This is a serious offer. She leaves her phone and purse and leaves with me. I will return it by 6 p.m. on Sunday and deposit the money into your account at that time. As long as she's with me, she'll do whatever I want. I promise I won't hurt her or leave any marks on her. Fuck you. My answer is no. I'm going to stand by the door and wait for 5 minutes while you discuss everything. If she doesn't join me by then, I'll leave and you'll never see me again. He got up and walked to the exit, leaning against the wall. Holy shit. Can you believe this asshole's arrogance? No, I can't. I know that the rich live differently, but this is a completely different level of pretension. She paused. But $1 million would be nice. I mean, we could move on to stage 4 immediately. We'll buy a house with cash, fund college for our kids, and we'll still have enough money left to invest. We could retire at 40. Don't tell me you're really considering this option. Of course not. I'm just saying that it would be great. I looked at her. Good. Because if you did, it would destroy us. Don't be ridiculous. I will never do anything that could harm our relationship. I looked at her again. I saw John watching us. He tapped his wristwatch with his finger. Well, I don't want to stay here anymore. Let's go home and watch a movie or something. Good. Take care of my things. I need to go to the bathroom right away. I watched her head for the toilets. She stopped to say something to John, no doubt to chastise him once more. Suddenly, they walked out the door together. I felt my heart tighten for a second, and then I took off and ran out the door. I saw her get into the Mercedes. Just as she was about to close the door, I shouted her name. Jill, don't do this. She looked at me, mouthed, I'm sorry, and then closed the door. The car pulled out of the parking lot. I ran after her, thinking I could jump on top of him or something, when suddenly I was grabbed from behind. I turned around and saw one of the biggest men I've ever seen grab me by the shoulders. Let me go. This is my wife. Sorry, buddy, But Mr. Albright doesn't want any trouble. I watched as the car pulled out of the parking lot and drove away at a very high speed. I tried to break away and follow them, but I couldn't. He had an iron grip. I watched the taillights disappear into the distance, just like my marriage. If I let you go, will you do something stupid? I should point out that she was not forced in any way. I looked at him. What would you do if it was your wife? Beat the shit out of him, of course. That's why he sent me here to hold you for a while. But now they're gone, so I'm letting you go. I stood there for a second. The bodyguard waited, then got into his car and drove away. Jill. Good. Take care of my things. I need to go to the bathroom right away. I hated cheating on him, but I knew he would never agree. I headed for the restrooms, but stopped when I got to John. Let's go before I change my mind, and before Jack makes a scene. John turned and walked out the door. I followed him. A Mercedes was waiting right outside. John got into the driver's seat. I opened the passenger door, but before I could get in, I heard Jack scream, "Jill, don't do this." There was a mixture of surprise and resentment on his face. I stopped for a second, then said, "I'm sorry," got into the car and closed the door. It hurt that I was hurting him, but I was doing it for us. John immediately took off. "Don't worry," he said. "He'll get over it." I hope so. I tried to get Jack out of my head. "So where are we going?" "I have a house outside the city. We'll spend the weekend there." The rest of the trip was spent in silence. We drove for about an hour, heading out of town. Pretty soon we left the main highway and drove along a series of narrow country roads. Eventually we arrived at the gate. John pressed a button on the remote control and the gate opened. We drove along a gravel driveway for about a minute, then drove up to a fairly large stone house. It was 2 stories high and looked like it had been there for a very long time. We parked the car at the entrance. It used to be a hunting lodge. I purchased it along with the surrounding land a couple of years ago and made several improvements. John said, "Come inside." The interior was quite rustic. The door led to a hallway that connected to a large study. We went into the kitchen. John opened the door to another short hallway, which reminded me of a hotel hallway. This impression was reinforced when John opened the first door on the right and went inside. "That's where you're going to live," he said. "These are rooms for kitchen staff and other staff." It was a small windowless room built of cinder blocks painted dirty white. There was a bed, a chest of drawers, and a desk in the room. The bed was a mattress. There was an open closet against the wall that had nothing in it. There was a bathroom next to the closet. John opened the top drawer of the dresser and pulled out a folded piece of what looked like cloth. "I want you to go to the bathroom, take off all your clothes and put this on." All clothes, including underwear and shoes. He handed me a package. I looked at him. He made a motion with his hand, sending me into the bathroom, so I went in and closed the door. The bundle was not made of fabric. It was some kind of opaque white plastic, probably a Tyvek. It looked like a jumpsuit, except that it was completely form-fitting, with mittens embedded in the sleeves and booties on the legs. Okay, it was weird, but never mind. "So you like it?" John walked over, grabbed the zipper, and pulled it up to his neck. "That's better." Then he went into the bathroom and collected all my clothes. "Clean clothes will be returned to you on Sunday before you leave. There are more rabbit costumes in the dresser if you need to change. They are disposable. Throw them in the trash when you take them off. There are also sheets and a blanket in the chest of drawers." He stepped closer to me, invading my personal space. "You're ready for your first one?" He smiled. "The assignment?" I nodded, dreading what would happen next. "Clean this room. And the bathroom. It's been a few months now, and this place is not in the best shape." "What?" "Do the cleaning. There are cleaning products in the bathroom cabinet and a broom in the closet. I hope that the floors will be clean enough so that you can eat from them. Do you understand? Do you want me to clean the room?" "Is that all?" "Yes, that's all for now. When you're done, you can make the bed and go to bed. If you get hungry later, there are sandwiches in the kitchen." I stared at him. "Come on, chop chop, time is wasting. Get busy." Then he turned and left, carrying my clothes away and closing the door behind him. What else could I do? I started cleaning the bathroom. There was dried urine on the toilet. There was a black ring around the tub. The lamps were covered with water stains. There was mold on the walls of the tub. It took me about an hour to clean the bathroom. Fortunately, the room itself wasn't that bad. I just needed to dust off the table and dresser, sweep the floor, and then wipe it with a damp cloth. This place was shining. When I was done, I made the bed. I was more exhausted than I thought. The next thing I remember, I was woken up by a knock on the door. Wake up. Get dressed. Let's get out of here. Now we're getting to the real thing. At first I was confused, then I remembered. I was at John's. Okay, I'll be right out. I looked into the chest of drawers. There were several dozen bunny suits, so I grabbed one and put it on, making sure I zipped it all the way up. To the kitchen, John said. He was sitting at the table. Make us breakfast. Can you make an omelet? Yes. Come on. The pantry and refrigerator were full of groceries, so I made a couple of omelets. Lots of cheese, bell peppers, mushrooms, and some ham. I put the omelets on plates, then put one in front of John and sat down at the end of the table to eat mine. It looks delicious, he said and began to eat. We finished the meal in silence. When he finished, he said, clean it up here. When you're done, join me outside. And left. To say that I was puzzled would be an understatement. I expected to be some kind of slave, not a kitchen maid. But it doesn't matter. The longer I can put off breaking my wedding vows, the better. I loaded the plates and silverware into the dishwasher and cleaned the pan by hand. I finished and went out the front door. John was sitting in an Adirondack chair, one of two on the patio, with a small table between them. Well, you didn't waste any time. Do you see this? He pointed to what looked like a pin with wheels. I realized it was a reel-to-reel lawnmower. Then he pointed to the vast courtyard. Mow the lawn. Wait a second, I replied. I thought I was here to. You agreed to do whatever I wanted for a pretty generous compensation. What I want you to do now is mow the lawn. If you don't want to honor our agreement, you can leave at any time and lose your compensation. The gate is that way. He pointed to the driveway. Or you mow the lawn. Your choice. I glared at him. I've mowed lawns before, but always with an electric lawnmower. I grabbed the mower, moved it to the grass and started mowing. The lawn must have been at least half an acre, maybe more. Fortunately, it is not too overgrown. I pushed this thing all the way to the farthest edge, then turned back around. Over the next few hours, I slowly mowed, taking breaks only to drink water and eat lunch, which I had to cook myself. Every half hour or so, John would come out to check on my progress and then come back inside. By the time the sun started to set, I was hot, sweaty, and tired, but I got the job done. The rabbit costume looked like a portable sauna. I've been unzipping up to my navel for a long time. I wheeled the lawn mower back to the front door, where John was waiting. Good job. Go take a shower and change into your new bunny costume. When you're done, go to the kitchen and cook dinner. There are steaks in the fridge. I like it medium fried. He started to go back inside, then stopped. Oh, and zip it up. You look indecent. I looked down and noticed that one of my breasts was peeking out of the suit. I had no idea how long she'd been hanging out like that. I zipped up and stomped back to my room. After the shower, I dressed in a new rabbit costume and went to the kitchen. There was no one there. I looked in the fridge and found 2 steaks that weren't there this morning. I also saw some mushrooms and vegetables in the drawer, but to hell with that. He said steak, so that's all I was going to cook. I've preheated the oven. When the steaks were ready, I stuck my head in the office and shouted, "Dinner is ready." I took out his steak and put it on the table, then sat down to eat mine. A minute later, John sat down and ate his steak without comment. When he finished, he told me that when I finished cleaning the kitchen, I could go to bed. That's what I did. I took off my suit, climbed into bed, and quickly fell asleep. The next morning, I was woken up again by a knock on the door. Get up and get to work. Your last day at work. I got up and put on a fresh rabbit costume. John was waiting in the kitchen. Make breakfast again. The same as yesterday. Breakfast and cleaning in the kitchen were done in silence. When I finished and turned on the dishwasher, John directed me to the room next to my bedroom. It was the same as my bedroom, but completely empty. I want you to paint this room. What? Paint the room. There are paints, rollers, brushes, and a change of clothes in the closet. Just this room. Do a good job, and this will be the last task of the weekend. And don't paint over the switches and sockets. Take off the covers and replace them when you're done. I looked at him incredulously. Paint the room? You're kidding. Are you paying me for maintenance? Is that all? So far, yes. But get busy. You don't have much time. Then he went out. I stood for a second, then looked into the closet. There was a 5-gallon bucket of sky blue paint and a bunch of tools and supplies. I grabbed a mat and spread it on the floor. I found a screwdriver and removed the covers of the sockets and switches, then sealed the sockets and switches themselves with duct tape. I poured some paint into the roller and got to work. It didn't take as long as I thought it would. The room wasn't that big, and there weren't any awkward details that needed to be painted over. When I was done, I put the outlet covers back on, folded the napkin, and put all the accessories back in the closet. He said it was my last assignment, so I went into the next room and took a shower. When I finished, I found that my clothes had been cleaned and laid out on the bed. I got dressed and went to look for John. He was in the office. Oh, there you are. I suppose you've painted everything? Yes. Did you say that this was my last assignment? That's right. Are you ready to go back to your husband now? You should know that he was very upset when you left. I know. I'll make it up to him. I felt a sudden surge of guilt. My sweet husband didn't deserve what I did to him that night. He's probably going crazy imagining all sorts of things. My guilt intensified when I realized that this was the first time I'd thought about him all weekend. The car should be here by now. He went out the front door, and I followed him. While we were standing there, a Mercedes pulled up. A bodyguard from the restaurant was driving. Hop in. He'll take you home. The money will be credited to your account by the time you get home. I opened the door, but before I got in, I turned to him and asked, So what's up with all the assignments? I assumed you wanted a slave or something. Don't be ridiculous. You're an average, quite attractive woman, but with a snap of my fingers, I can get women you've never been around, and for much less than $1 million. It was more of a social experiment. Can I force the average married woman to leave with me in front of her husband? How long will it take? I looked at him incredulously. Without answering, I got into the car and closed the door. The bodyguard drove me home in silence. Not a word was spoken. When we arrived at the apartment, I got out of the car. He's gone. I went to the door and unlocked it. I was glad my key was working. Jack? Cute? I came back. Where are you? Jack. I looked at the bodyguard. What would you do if it was your wife? Beat the shit out of him, of course. That's why he sent me here to hold you for a while. But now they're gone, so I'm letting you go. I stood there for a second. The bodyguard waited for me to do something, then got into his car and drove away. Hey, Jack. If you're leaving, you need to pay your bill first. It was Mike, the restaurant manager. During the time that we went there, we met many employees. Damn it. Didn't you see what happened? My wife just left me. And you're worried about the bill? Wow. Don't worry about it. I'll fix it. Sorry. I would never have thought she would do that. Yes, me too. Mike handed me her purse. She left it on the table. The phone was in the side pocket of her purse. Thanks. I'm not sure what the hell I'm going to do now. Don't do anything too stupid. Go home. Think about it. It's a good idea. I don't remember how I got home. As soon as I closed the front door, everything immediately came crashing down on me. My wife has disappeared. My marriage has collapsed. All the dreams and hopes we had are gone. I collapsed onto the couch and stared at the ceiling. All I could think about was, she's gone. I do not know how long it has been. I must have fallen asleep at some point, because I opened my eyes and it was morning. At first I was confused as to why I ended up on the couch, but then the memories came back. Longing hit me again, just as hard. Then something else struck anger. How dare she do this to us? She threw away everything we had for the money. I held back my anger and shoved the longing deep inside. Act now, hurt later. There's no way we can stay together after that. I had to see a lawyer on Monday, but there was still something I could do. I had until Sunday evening. First, finances. I paid for a joint credit card and then canceled it. Then the bank. I opened a new account in my name, transferring half of the savings account minus $2,000 to it. I took the $2,000 in cash because I'm going to need it. I also transferred half of the current account. Secondly, I needed a new place to live. I called my friend Pete. Pete had a lot of friends because he had a pickup truck. People have always turned to him for help in moving. I told him what had happened. What did she do? Gone? Just because some rich asshole waved a bunch of money in front of her? Damn, it's cold. I can't believe she could do this. Believe me, I'm still in shock. I need to find a place to live and get my stuff out of the apartment before she gets back on Sunday. I'm thinking about that long-stay motel next to the office. No way. You can stay with me. How much shit do you need to move? Actually, not that much. Clothes, a few books, and the like. I don't care about the furniture. Okay, get ready. I'll get some boxes and be with you as soon as I can. I packed my clothes for the week in a gym bag. The rest went into garbage bags. Pete showed up with some boxes, and we loaded them with books and a few other things. I didn't care about anything in the kitchen. Silverware is cheap. All my stuff was packed in Pete's truck or in my car. I looked around the apartment to make sure I had everything. I saw a picture of me and Jill at our wedding. It was one of my favorite photos of us. I decided to be petty. I took the photo out of the frame, tore it in half, and put the pieces on the coffee table next to Jill's purse. Then I took off the wedding ring and put it on top. I thought for a second and decided to be very petty. We had a fireplace and a couple of logs for a bonfire. I took our wedding album from the shelf, opened it in the middle, covered a log in the fireplace with it, and lit it. Then I followed Pete to his house. I wasn't very good company that night, but I wasn't trying to be. I know I've watched a bunch of TV shows, but I don't remember any of it. All I could think about was that my wife had left me to make love to a billionaire for money. Eventually, I took a dose of NyQuil and fell asleep. I woke up late on Sunday. Physically, I felt better, but emotionally I was shattered. Pete kept trying to engage me in conversation, but I didn't feel it. I thought about having a drink, but I knew it wouldn't solve anything. Eventually, my phone rang. I saw that the call was from Jill, and I sent it to voicemail. I didn't want to talk to her at all. Then she sent me a message. I'm back. Please call me. We need to talk. Nothing happened. Nothing. Yes, that's right. And even if it was true, it didn't matter. She left me, being ready for anything. Then I remembered something. I turned on my laptop. Jill. He wasn't in the living room. I went into the bedroom. He wasn't there either. Then I saw an open closet. His things were gone. No, no, no. He's gone. I ran back to the living room and looked for a note or something. Then I saw the coffee table, and I collapsed on the couch. It was our wedding photo, torn in half, with Jack's wedding ring on top. I do not know how long I sat like that. It could have been a minute, maybe an hour. That's when I realized I had to find Jack. I should have told him that nothing had happened. I grabbed my phone and called him. The message went straight to voicemail. I left a message. Jack, honey, where are you? Please call me. We need to talk. I love you. Then I sent him a message. I'm back. Please call me. We need to talk. Nothing happened. Nothing. I looked around the room. Some of the bookshelves were empty. He took his books. He's moved out. Then I saw the fireplace. It looked like, no, no, no. Our wedding album. It was half burned. No, this can't be happening. I have to talk to him, Jack. Then I remembered something. I turned on my laptop. I went to the bank's website and looked at the shared account. A new deposit of $1.4 million was deposited into the savings account. I transferred $700,000 to my new account and logged out. If my marriage is ruined because of money, I'll get my half. The epilogue. They looked at each other over the conference table in the lawyer's office. The lawyers had just left, allowing them to talk in private. Jill, you said you'd sign the divorce papers if I talked to you. Here I am. Speak. It was the first time they had spoken to each other since that night at the restaurant. Jack, I don't want a divorce. Nothing happened. All he did was make me do the housework. I painted the walls in the room. I cleaned the bathroom. I mowed the lawn. I didn't do anything else. I didn't do anything even remotely amorous. I didn't break my vows. You don't understand. You left me in a restaurant thinking you were going to make love to him. It doesn't matter if you made love to him or not. You left me there with the intention of using him. That's all that matters. I understand. You're right. I will never be able to make it up to you. But I have to ask, please let me try. I love you. We can get through this. I know we can. Love is not a problem. No matter what, I still love you. Jill looked at him hopefully. But, he continued, I can't trust you anymore. Who says you won't make some other important unilateral decision in the future? I mean, if you agreed to make love to a guy for money, what else are you going to do if you think it's good for us? I'm sorry, Jill, but I can't get past this. Please sign it. The ratio is 50-50. I took everything I wanted from the apartment, and I have already taken half of the money. Sign it, and we're done. With that, Jack got up and left. Jill sat in silence for a while. She grabbed a pen and signed the papers in front of her.